Good day. In this video, we will be learning about how to accurately count and list the number of occurrences of an outcome in an experiment using a tree diagram. For the basic terms in simple events, you may refer to the previous video illustrating experiments, outcomes, sample space, and events. Now, we go to our first example. 2 coins are tossed. How many possible outcomes could be there in the experiment? Before we proceed, let me show you our representations for the coin in this situation. Since a coin has a head and a tail, I made a paper cutout so I could represent the coin in a bigger scale. This time, we try to identify the number of outcomes. One of the systematic ways of knowing the complete list of outcomes is through using a tree diagram. This resembles a tree as it branches out to all possible outcomes, and it has 2 orientations, namely the horizontal and vertical tree diagrams. In our first example, we'll use a vertical tree diagram. Now, if we toss 2 coins at the same time, what could be all the possible outcomes for our first coin? Definitely, since it only has 2 sides, we have 2 outcomes, which are the heads and a tail, either of the 2. How about for our second coin? Since we have 2 outcomes for our first coin, the outcomes for the second coin would branch out from getting a head or a tail separately. If we get a head on the first coin, what could we get for our second coin? Again, we could get either a head or a tail. How about if our first coin is a tail? Could we get the same outcomes like we had earlier for the second coin? Yes, definitely. We could also have either a head or a tail. This time, we try to identify the outcomes in our given situation. After tossing the 2 coins, first we could get both heads. So I'll write H, H. H represents head. The second outcome would be a head or a head and a tail. T represents the tail. The third outcome that we can obtain is getting a tail and a head. For the last one, we could get both tails. Now that we have identified our outcomes, we can try to write our sample space, written in a set notation and denoted by capital letter S. It is written as a set of possible outcomes, H, H, or head and head, getting a head and a tail, getting a tail and a head, and getting both tails. So this is how we write a sample space.